What is going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Mindset Podcast. Today, I'm here with Argon. We're going to be talking about what we think of World War II so far. Do you want to say hello? Hi?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast.
All right, so Argon has basically the list of what we're going to talk about. I roughly have it in my head of what I want to say, but what was the first topic exactly?
Okay, so as you guys all know, you guys all played the beta. Hopefully, had a good time with it, but we're here to discuss the pros and cons and different subjects in that beta and what we think about it, what it means for the full game, and what are our thoughts on the full game and its release. The first thing we just want to talk about here is today, first for me at least, Reverb, is just to ask you your opinion on the setting and what you think of the whole World War II concept and playing in an older COD and that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna go first. I do like the fact that they went to boots on ground. You already know my bias towards boots on the ground, but I just would have liked them to. I would like to see them go to like more of a modern era, or like maybe the furthest back, probably like the 60s. I do like I said, how they went to boots on the ground, but I just don't think they should have gone that far back. Regardless, I think it's gonna be a good game, but I would just like to see. My favorite time period was like Black Ops 1.
Yeah, I think this might be the only subject where we actually fully agree on.
Is it
when
actually?
it comes to World War II. Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of like the game being older, you know?
Yeah.
I just, to me, it closes your options on just, like
kill streaks, weapons.
Having newer weapons and newer kill streaks. Like there wasn't, I don't think there was really helicopters in World War II, so just that right off the bat gets rid of a lot of the most popular kill streaks in Call of Duty.
Yes.
So yeah, not having those is kind of a downer. But that definitely, and then just the guns themselves were clunkier. I'm just not a fan of those old guns. So that part I was kind of sad that they were going that far back. But other than between World War II and Vietnam, there's not really much you can do. So that was like the one war that was left that they really hadn't touched on.
Yeah.
So I guess I understand why they did it, but it's kind of like, man, I don't know. I hope there's enough content. That was my biggest concern with the beta was, would the full game have enough content available for it so that we wouldn't get bored with it? You know what I mean? Because it seemed like the beta, when I played the Black Ops 3 beta, even the IW beta, I don't remember getting bored with it. And then with the World War II beta, I got bored with it. And I really attribute that to the setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree with that. You said you got bored with the beta. I just want to put this out there. I personally didn't get bored with the beta. I feel like if I would have played it more, I would have gotten bored with the beta. But the thing about me is, no, I played it a lot, but I limited myself to playing it more than I should, because I was like, okay, I like the game. I like what it is, right? But I'm not going to play the shit out of it because I know it's only 3 maps and a couple of weapons. I don't want to get burnt out by the time the game comes out. And obviously there's going to be new content, but I'm just that type of person where if I like a song that just came out, I'll play the shit out of it until I get bored of it. That's just how I am. So I had to limit myself, and I had a blast. Like when the beta came out and it ended, I was so sad. I did not play any Call of Duty for about 2 weeks because I was like, bro, I don't want to play anything but the beta. So I had so much fun. Well, you said you were bored. That's like our first disagreement.
Did you max out your not prestigious, but did you max out your rank and unlock everything?
Within an hour of every day it released.
Holy cow. So you played it way more than I did. I didn't even max everything out.
Yeah, I maxed everything out, and even then I actually played on a second account and maxed out a second account, which you didn't know about because I made a new gamer tag.
Oh, then you played you probably played 10 times more than me.
Yeah, I know that because your levels were really low. I was like, I don't know if Argon's necessarily enjoying it until you actually like put it out there on Twitter that, quote unquote, give me a jetpack or something along those lines. And I was like,
yeah,
what?
I said that as a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little, I'm not going to lie, I was a little triggered about that. But
no. I mean, ultimately the jetpack, I like the jetpack. I think it's fun. To me, it adds I'm a big fan of really chaotic gunfights. And the jetpack definitely makes for really chaotic gunfights. The downside of what it's done in terms of, lag compensation and that sort of thing is really what I think makes the jetpack not viable.
Yeah.
But if you had a game where it was built well, to me, like the Titanfall games were done really well, where you could jetpack. You can't move as quick in Titanfall as you could in the Call of Duty jetpack games, but they have much higher time to kill, so the impact of having bad connection with each other, it's just not felt as much. And anyway, we're not here to talk about jetpacks, but yeah, ultimately I like jetpacking, but I love Call of Duty, so I'll always love every COD, and I always withhold judgment. Now I've learned my lesson: always withhold your judgment until you've actually played it.
Yeah.
In anything, I did not like Infinite Warfare at all when it came out. I listed it as my least favorite Call of Duty of all time. Now, honestly, I could put it up a little bit higher. It's still, it actually turned out to be a good amount of fun for me. So I definitely won't say one way or the other whether or not World War II is going to suck for me or not.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be the greatest game. You just can't say that anymore with Call of Duty, because for some reason, these studios, when they make these games, they feel like they have to change something drastic every single time, and that makes a real impact. You don't need to just make a good game that everybody enjoys playing. It seems like they can't find the formula that makes people interested. And we could talk about this some other time, but I'll just wait till the full game comes out to decide. And I don't even know what's the right amount of time to spend, because even with Infinite Warfare, it seemed like a lot of people gave up real quick. And I don't think that's fair. That game was really one where you really had to play it a lot to say.
Well, let me just say something. I have 2 points. One was that you said you like the jetpacks added like chaos to it. Mm-hmm. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I like consistency. So that's why I like boots on the ground. Player. Yeah, that's exactly why. So like my mindset no pun intended. My mindset when it comes to like a Call of Duty should be consistency. A good player should be able to predict everything that's going on, right? You can even do that in jetpacks, but there's always that one dude that's with jetpacks that's randomly behind you, or you're shooting at him and he randomly jumps over you, or you're pre-aiming a corner and you have to look 30 feet in the air.
Yeah, or that guy that's sitting in the corner playing a jetpack game like it's a boots on the ground game.
Exactly. I just like consistency. That's why I personally disliked the jetpacks. Don't get me wrong. I liked the core games, and I said this in my video. I said I was optimistic. I wanted Infinite Warfare to be good because I didn't want to play Black Ops 3 for 2 years. As good as it was, Call of Duty doesn't really have longevity in my opinion. That's why they release it every year. So I was hoping it was good. I gave it about almost 3 days worth of playtime. Maybe not enough, but I just couldn't get into it in the long run because of the thing it has. Like really think about it. I said this in my video too. Like, when did you ever think to yourself that I'll be a dog in Call of Duty, or like there's gonna be a black hole in Call of Duty? Like, never.
Yeah,
that's just my
really, really bad things that they added to cater to a different crowd. But what you were saying about consistency and stuff like that in the game, that's kind of one thing that I thought that I was really disappointed they didn't add, which we want to talk about here, is the infinite sprint. As it applies to the boots on the ground mechanic. I don't know why they added it in for the jetpack CODs. Maybe they thought people wouldn't be, sprinting as much, or maybe they needed to because of the wall running or something like that. I don't know. But I really liked it. And from a consistency standpoint, you're going to have to help me understand this. I don't see how not having infinite sprint makes the game more consistent, because I can, it would, maybe it is, but you have to,
I understand what you're saying.
Like, say search and destroy. You spawn, you want to get to a bomb. If you have infinite sprint, you know exactly how much time it takes, because you're assuming that you're going to sprint the whole way, right? So how is it different for not having infinite sprint? How does that make the game more consistent?
In my opinion, I don't think it matters. Now, I'll get into it more, but I don't think it matters, because think about it. You have two options. Whether it's infinite sprint or not, you can either walk there or run there. And with having infinite sprint, you can just run there, right? But just to throw that timing off, which COD players or competitive players sometimes will do, they'll just walk there. Or vice versa. Like, let's say there's no infinite sprint, then they're going to be taking breaks. So like in reality, whether it's there or not, the timings are still going to be similar, and you're going to be able to predict the timings because they have two options, whether they walk or run.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. How would it matter one way or the other? Because when I talk to That's the Bruh about this, he says a competitive Call of Duty should not have infinite sprint. Now, why would that be the case?
I just wouldn't agree. Whether it has it or not, you still know the max time it takes someone to run to a certain place.
Okay, so we're going to have to bring him in on this at some point and ask him for his opinion because he feels so strongly that you don't need infinite sprint.
To me, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I didn't do a good job of explaining it. Maybe I should have thought more about it before the podcast started and get my words together, because that's why, for example, that's why it took so long for me to make my why I didn't like Infinite Warfare video, because I could just go on the video and say why I didn't like it, but I tried to get my words, even though it wasn't the most detailed video. I just try to get a combination of words that fit together, that it's not just rambling on like I did right now. That's why for me, that's how I work. I can't really just improv something.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So then, regarding boots on the ground, how do you think it actually panned out then for you? Was it, because I know for me, when I made a video a while back on how you can make boots on the ground good again, I said it's extremely important to get your weapon handling statistics as fast as possible. All the times for sprint outs and aim down sights and all that needs to be really fast, because that's what it takes to make the game feel fast. Because honestly, at this point, we're used to fast pace like we've never seen before. I know they said Modern Warfare was fast paced, but compared to Infinite Warfare, it's like a snail's pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need, and part of the driver for that was the jetpacks. You could just move so quick. And on top of that, the base movement statistics speeds in these newer games is way faster than it used to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to me, I think it played out okay. Honestly, I would like things to be a little quicker. I don't mind that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care that you need to mirror what like a real person would really do in that situation. I really don't care, man. Because, like, in real life, if you're reloading a gun, you would never reload as fast as you've ever reloaded in any Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm all down for them making these, like, super soldiers that are super fast, because that just, to me, is how you make the game better. And with the way you spawn in, that's one problem I noticed was you spawn in super far away from the action and then run out of sprint, run out of sprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that part of it made it really annoying for me. But I don't know what you think about it. To me, it was good. I would say I would give it like a B-. Like, they could still make it better, the movement. But it wasn't as bad as I was worried about. So that's good. To me, I wanted it to be like Black Ops 2. And it was not quite Black Ops 2 in my opinion.
It was more like Black Ops 1, to be honest.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
Honestly, bro, I'm going to say the reason I like this game is because, let me just say this, my favorite Call of Duty is Black Ops 1. So you can already see the connection why I don't have an issue with it. Like, spawning away from the action, running, stopping. And then, I see where you see your point, where you are trying to argue your point, because like you're like running forever, then just die, and then you spawn in Narnia, then you have to run again to the action. I understand that, but
dude, when they tweak the spawns, I'm sure they can fix that. But
and they will. It's just a beta. Most of the things that we're probably talking about right now are probably going to change. But for me, I didn't mind it because, like I said, I prefer the traditional way of Call of Duty, and that's how it was. Look at all the games prior to Black Ops 2, and even not actually Modern Warfare 3. I like all those games pretty much before that, and I like Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, and that's just how they were before. They're just really they're not copying the way it was, but it just feels more like Call of Duty because that's how it used to be. That's why I like it.
Yeah, I'd say I was good with it. I still want it to be a little more fast paced.
Yeah.
But other than that, I could probably live with it. The maps were a good size. Everything was small enough to where it wasn't that hard to get into situations. And if they're that quick to make map adjustments like they did in the beta, like between Beta 1 and Beta 2, then I'm not worried. Like, Sledgehammer is really good for support. So if we have issues, like, dude, they fixed it in the beta. Like, I've never seen them fix maps in the beta.
Yeah.
Like with IW, there was map issues. They would just take them out for a month and then fix it and then just randomly put it back in. So, for me, the maps were pretty cool. I liked them a lot. I thought the colors were really good. I know sometimes there's issues where the coloring is a little bit too dry. I think that's an Infinity Ward type issue.
Yeah.
But these maps I thought were really well done.
Let me cut you off
really
real
great.
quick.
Yeah.
The reason I personally don't mind the colors, obviously I like a very vibrant game, but the reason I think they chose those colors is because they're trying to get into the gritty, dark theme of World War II, which I don't mind. If it fits the theme, I don't care. But like I said, I do prefer the brighter colors.
You know what I didn't like was the unnecessary amount of screaming and grunting that the characters do.
I understand. Yes, I wouldn't say that I necessarily hated it, but it was just something that maybe they should just tone it down a little bit.
Off. Yeah. Like, it's cool, but it's super gimmicky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Yeah, it's a war. Yeah, you just stabbed a guy with a bayonet, but like, I don't want to hear that every freaking time, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So speaking of the weapons, to me, I thought the weapons were decent. You got me hooked on the Type 100. I pretty much solely use that. It's going to take me a little bit of time, I think, to get used to some of the other weapons. I still think they've got a fair amount of balancing that they need to do. Obviously, shotguns really dominated Beta 1. Or I shouldn't say dominated, but they were OP for
personally,
what they were supposed
I didn't
to
have an issue with the shotguns that much. Obviously, the thing about shotguns is, and I saw this video that really went into like detail on this. Whenever
Tabor
like
Hill?
I'm not not necessarily on the shotguns. It was like the thought of getting killed by a certain thing and you thinking annoying, like it's annoying. Like I think it was Drifter or something, but for example, you don't always get killed by shotguns, but when you do, you always remember it because you find it annoying. It's not like it's always there, but it just, you remember the time it does happen, which sure,
I said, you know what else you don't remember is you don't remember how many times you killed the guy with the shotgun because you have no way of knowing.
Yeah, and now that I think back at it, and once you said that, I picked up the shotgun a good amount of times from when people were using it in game. So it's really not that it was like overpowered and everyone was using it. It's just that people just remember the times they get killed by shotguns.
It's really funny you say that, bro, because every time somebody says sometimes a shotgun's OP, I pick it up and I try and use it and I can't do anything with it. So I don't know. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, same thing with the snipers. Like whenever people are like quick scoping, no one's always quick scoping, but when you do get quick scoped, you remember it, and that's why we remember certain things like this. Now, if you're talking about Black Ops 3, which we're talking about World War II, but that game, it's not necessarily that you're always remembering when you're getting killed by shotguns. It's just that in every game, there's literally just one brecci, which is there's a difference. Like in World War II, like I said, you just remember it. But in Black Ops 3, it's always there. So there's like a difference. And
the brecci is different because it's a fully auto, right, or semi-auto?
Yeah, semi-auto.
Right, it's a semi-auto, and it's not a one-shot kill. The reason you remember these one-shot kills is because like boom, you're dead just that fast, you know. Yeah. So the brecci just has an annoying sound on top of it, you know.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
usually you remember it.
Desk.
Oh, my bad. But usually you remember also because they have fire.
It's like it sounds like you're banging your head on the desk when you're using the brecci.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Actually, that makes more sense. It sounds like you get a book and smash it on your head or something.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, I feel like also we remember the shotguns just because, like, really think about it. Most of the time, people weren't using a regular shotgun. They were just using the fire shotties or whatever attachment it is. And necessarily, like I said, I said this like multiple times, but it's not that the game has that many shotguns. It's just that when you did get killed by it, you just remembered it, and that's it. I didn't think there was an issue. The only issue that I do see with the shotguns, though, is the attachment where you put a bullet in it and it basically turns into a sniper. I disagree with that.
Yeah, but did you see Tabor Hill's video on that?
No, I didn't.
He made it pretty clear that it's not that OP.
I did. I'm pretty sure I saw it, but I didn't like. No, I mean, like, you know, I knew about his existence, but I didn't see it.
No, he made a pretty good video. He made a pretty good case for why it's not as OP as people were worried it was.
Like I said, I feel like it goes back to the issue of like when you do get killed by it, you like remember it, but it's not really that big of an issue because it's not like you can reload it really fast and it has a lot of bullets. It's just like a one-time thing, you know. So
yeah. Otherwise, I thought the weapons were okay. I found myself only using the Type 100, even when other people suggested other guns. Like I couldn't get around to using. Again, I didn't play the game as much. So hopefully we'll see. I've also never really cared if a game is dominated by a few weapons because I don't know. It's really hard to get everything perfect. I feel like when they balance things, it just means none of the guns are good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like with BO3, everything's pretty balanced for the most part. So yeah, that one works, but you know, they're like Treyarch's really good at balancing. It's one of the things they're good at. Clearly, Sledgehammer is not. You know, we saw that in Advanced Warfare. So if it ends up being that way with World War II, like honestly, I'm not really gonna care. So long as it's not an issue where, you know, like going for the black, what's it called, Black Sky or Dark Matter stuff, where you have to end up using, which they'll probably have stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see. So I'm sure I'll end up trying out the other guns, but for me, there's still some balancing that needs to get done. But otherwise, the weapons I thought were okay. Otherwise, I'll probably not even end up using certain weapons just because I think they're ugly. You know, like to me, the Type 100 was really ugly. But if it wasn't so damn good, I would have never touched it. But it's just so good.
I disagree with you about the weapons and how they looked.
I hate guns with magazines that stick out the side.
Personally, I like how they looked. I liked how they felt. And personally, all three weapons that I told you about, which were the PPSH, the Type 100, and the Tommy gun, or the M1928 or something.
Which I never even got to, by the way.
Well, that's the gun that I mainly got. I got the Vicious with it, like my first Vicious, which is a 30 streak. Now, what I like about it is all of them are good in their own aspects, but you use them in very different ways. Like the PPSH is kind of like the Scorpion from Black Ops 2. So you know how to play. You have to play close quarters and just fast paced. The Type 100 is kind of like the like the MSMC from Black Ops 2. It's just like they're used for different situations. And personally, I thought they were really good. I liked how the weapons looked and I liked how they sounded. So like that's one of our disagreements with the weapons, I guess.
I think that has to do with the setting. Yeah, there's a big difference between a Type 100 and like a MP7, you know, from 1995. Yeah. So, otherwise I'm fine with them. We'll see how it comes out. I'm sure they'll add DLCs. What would be cool is, you know, all these games now are adding DLC weapons from, you know, old school guns. Yeah. It would be really dope if they
don't
did the
say
reverse.
If they do. No, dude. I knew you were going there.
No laser. No laser. Just nothing.
Like an M16 or something.
Give us M16s. Give us AKs. Give us.
I don't see them doing that. A lot of people would get so mad.
I don't think so. I think it would be good. It would fit the game really well. It would make the game way better. Like imagine running around those maps with an MTAR from Ghost instead of an old ass gun. You know what I mean? Like it'd be cool to have a new weapon as a DLC, and it wouldn't be that OP. Like it would just be, you know, if you have a M4 or something, you know, that's a good gun. Yeah, it might be a little OP, but they could balance it. Yeah. But it would just be nice to have, dude. That game would be amazing if it had, like we used to say this about Ghost. Ghost would be the best game ever if it had MW3 guns and MW2 score streaks. You know what I mean?
My thing about Ghost is I thought it was a good game, but I don't think that's what was wrong with it.
No, the maps were screwed. The maps were done.
The maps, okay. I'm looking at it from a competitive aspect because that game, all I did was play competitive. But one, I think the time to kill should have been a little bit longer.
Sure, yeah.
Second, I think they should have added capture the flag and hardpoint, but you can't really have hardpoint without the maps being like, the maps have to be good and they have to have good spawns and rotation. So like those two are
maps
like
were pretty good.
But like I'm talking about for hardpoint, that's my like main issue. The time to kill should have been better, the map should have been better, and the game mode should have been better. So I mean, I guess it should be a different game, right? But I just didn't.
I think you could have made it work with what you had. Like if you can play domination on something, you can play hardpoint on it for the most part. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about that next.
What?
World War II being good for competitive gaming or not?
Oh well, I guess
For
that was
the
a good
CWI.
like segue. I guess.
Yeah. I think it will. I think it's pretty straightforward, to be honest with you. It's got solid mechanics. It looks like it's gonna be, predictable. I'm not a competitive player, so I'll let you talk about that more. But to me, it seems to fit what all these pros are always talking about.
Okay, so let me just explain the number one thing that I think just this thing alone will make competitive better, regardless of what you think. Like, to be honest, it's just the consistency. In order for a game to be competitive, look at any game. It's consistent, and if it's not there, then how is it competitive if it's random? It's just like it has to be consistent. Like, look at Black Ops 2. That's probably the best well, not in terms of like viewership and stuff like that, but that's the best competitive and most competitive game like ever for Call of Duty. Because like it's just like everything was right about the game, the maps, all the timings and everything. It was just perfect. And I feel like when the jetpacks came out, it just made it more random and just like really think about it. If you're expecting someone, like, for example, like if you were playing Black Ops 2 Search and Destroy and you were on standoff and you were watching the cross to like a bomb or whatever, you would know when people are crossing, because like you just know you're watching the cross and there's no other way they could get there. But when it comes to like jetpack Call of Duties, they can literally go over, under the map. Like, it's just so many different variables that change the game, which is like what I don't like.
BO3, you can do the entire map on the outside.
Yes, and the thing about the main thing that people argue is that jetpacks gave people with gun skill a more advantage. I don't disagree with it. Like, if you have really good gun skill, you'll be able to manage with jetpacks. But I feel like with the jetpacks, the strategy and the knowledge of the game was really taken out, because they look at smokes in previous Call of Duties, like in Ghost, they're used very
irrelevant now.
There's no point for smokes, and it just changed. Right. It just changed the aspect, or not the aspect, or just how the game is played.
Yeah, it was funny because I saw a tweet from Nate Shot where I don't know who originally wrote it, but they said something like TDM needs to get added as a competitive game type.
I think I remember.
And Nate Shot said, yes, it was Infinite Warfare Search and Destroy.
I agree with him, to be honest, because it was just,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's no planting bombs. Like, it was such an afterthought. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think it'll be good. And I think the number one thing that makes a game good for competitive is if the studio supports it. And then Sledgehammer is very supportive of competitive. So I think they'll do everything they need to do to make it good for competitive.
Yeah, and you said I don't remember exactly what you said before, but you were like, you said something along the lines of like, we gave them feedback on Argon, I think that's how it's pronounced, and they changed it in the beta. And personally, I think Sledgehammer is the most responsive to the Call of Duty community from the studios, which I like, because if we complain about something, they're going to be the ones that listen to us. I would say it's Sledgehammer, then Treyarch very closely, even though like they do listen to us, but sometimes they just do their own thing.
No, they do what they want. Yeah.
And then Infinity Ward is like just like, I don't know, where are they?
Who's the community manager for Infinity Ward?
Yeah, like where are they, bro? They're like on another place.
Let me mold you the greatest studio of all time. You take Infinity Ward's software, and you take Treyarch's design, and you use Sledgehammer's community support. You use Condry is in charge of these other two aspects. You have a beautiful studio, because Infinity Ward has always made the most solid game in terms of mechanics, but they're not the best at support. You know what I mean?
Core, if you're talking about core mechanics when it comes to like bullet registration, movement, and stuff like that, itself. yes.
No, but the design, where it comes down to map design, weapon balancing, the concept of how the game should be played, like they don't even think about. Infinity Ward won't even consider it. You know what I mean? They tried it. One Man Army in Modern Warfare 2 They're like, oh, we want to make it so you can be any type of soldier you feel like, but they got completely manipulated and they just stopped caring. They're like, well, that failed, you know?
Yeah.
So for Treyarch, they do really great design. They're fantastic at it. The way, like you said earlier, when you said on the Black Ops 2, Search and Destroy, that took somebody a lot of time to probably think about that,
Yes.
And then, of course, Treyarch that has truly a passion for supporting the community. Like, man, that would just be great.
Let me cut you off right here. When you said it, the game like Black Ops 2, I'm sure people or the people that made the game, which is like Treyarch or whoever was designing the maps, right? They made the maps mainly for casual people too, right? But I feel like they really sat down and thought about how could this map be also casual, but at the same time be very good for competitive.
You can make maps for competitive specifically. Casual players won't know the difference, so you might as well.
Yeah, but I feel like Infinity Ward, this is like how I can tell they weren't focusing on that, was because at the beginning of the game, some of the bomb sites were in the most terrible place ever, and within a couple of weeks they actually updated the bomb sites to match a more competitive style gameplay, which is like that would just proves to me that they weren't really thinking about competitive. They just made the game and that's it.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. I can see that. And I think it's pretty clear they don't really care for competitive. One last question I want to ask you, unrelated to World War II, but related to competitive. Do you want CWL this year to be LAN League or online like how Black Ops 3 was?
Personally, I'm just a big fan of like competitive, whether it's from video games or basketball. I just feel like the LAN League, it's more consistent, which I like consistency, but it takes forever to watch the people you want to watch. But then on the online league, it's less consistent because we're talking about connection, but then you can watch people that you want to watch versus almost like instantly, like it doesn't take that long because when it comes to the LAN league, they have to set it up, think who wants to play and stuff like that. But when it comes to like the online league, it's just from the comfort of your own home, and you can just pair up any two teams to play that night. Obviously they don't do it it's not that simple, but you can watch more of it rather than if it's a LAN league.
I like the online version better. As a spectator, for me it's better. I think it sort of mirrors professional sports as well, because if you've got a warrior team, like an online team only.
Yeah.
I mean, there's professional sports teams that have superior home field advantage. So it's kind of like that, but, in the e-world. So to me, it makes sense. I also like the fact that you can see it every single night. I think it kind of sucks for the pros because a lot of them lost a lot of money not being able to stream stuff, but topic for a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
We should wrap this up, but let's finish off with overall thoughts on the game.
You can go first if you would like.
Okay, so yeah, sure. I did like it. I'm optimistic about it. I think it was done well. The things I don't like, I outlined in a video that I made. Not really too much hung up on mechanics, mostly because I know they'll work that out. But I dislike the setting. Not a big fan of the weapons and stuff. So the game concept itself, I'm not a huge fan of. But that doesn't mean I won't play it. I'll still end up liking it. Pretty much every game that's ever come out, when I've started playing it, because I'm so familiar with the last Call of Duty, I just get wanting that back, So like with Infinite Warfare, I hated the sound of the weapons, but now like specifically like the Type 2, I hated it. I thought it was the stupidest gun, but now it's legit one of my most favorite guns, and I think of it as very high, like smooth, like a real nice weapon.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not really too concerned about that. I think the game's gonna play really well. I'm a little concerned that the community itself is overhyped about it. I hope that it pans out, because there's a good chance that if this thing flops, I mean, Call of Duty could die, but
I disagree with that point, because regardless if this COD is good or not, we still have Treyarch, and we'll know. Like, I feel like people are hyped for this game, but no one's really hyped no one's as hyped as the game, like for the game, as like a Treyarch Call of Duty. Like, we know that regardless of what it is, Treyarch will always give us a good game.
So we could talk. We should make that a topic for another podcast where we talk about, do people really know what they want?
Okay, so I'll just end with what I think of the game. Personally, I thought it was good. Obviously, there's a lot of things that need changing. Personally, one of the things that I would change would be the turrets, because it just promotes people to camp. But regardless, every Call of Duty has their issues. But we're talking about Sledgehammer. If there's something that really bothers us and majority thinks is something that shouldn't be there, it will probably change. So in my opinion, if it's not good right now, I think for the game or the full game, we'll have a more finished and polished product, even if it's like not good right now, like I said. So in general, I just like boots on the ground, because like I said, I don't like jetpacks. I'm very biased towards jetpack, or the other way around. I'm not sure how it works, but I prefer boots on the ground. And
that's biased towards boots. You're biased towards boots on the ground.
Yeah, I'm biased towards boots on the ground. So in general, it just reminds me of Black Ops 1, to be honest, and that was my favorite Call of Duty. The only thing that I feel changed was the setting, and that's it. Besides that, the mechanics feel like Black Ops 1 to me, and I love Black Ops 1, and I enjoyed the beta. So I think personally, it will be a good year for Call of Duty. It will be a good year for not just Call of Duty, but YouTube, the YouTube side of Call of Duty. And even if this game isn't the best of games, we still have the Treyarch game to look forward to. So
yes. Well, that's gonna do it then. I agree with you. I'm looking forward to it. So we will see what happens.
All right, so I'll just outro it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for both of our channels. Make sure to go check out, the opposite channel of where you're watching this from. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Mindset Podcast. Peace out.